I've been dreaming about driving the Alaska Highway for years, and today I'm finally starting the Alaska Highway. I'm stopping at natural hot springs in the middle of the wilderness, finding some very questionable places to get gas, and slowly making my way further north than I have ever been. After thousands of miles of driving, I am finally going to cross into Alaska, and this is the road trip I've been waiting to take for years. One of my favorite parts about traveling around North America in my van is being able to stop at different places and collect local spring water. This one is particularly delicious, and I had to drive down a sketchy looking dirt road to get here. When I think about the inspiration for this trip, I actually think about my grandparents. When I was a child, they bought this little used camper with plans to drive it all the way to Alaska. I remember hearing about this huge adventure they're going to take and thinking Alaska feels like the wildest, most faraway place that anyone could possibly drive to. Unfortunately, things didn't work out with the camper. It breaks down, the trip falls apart, and they never make it to Alaska. The story randomly comes back to me throughout the years. Alaska is this place you can actually drive to, even though making it the entire way is not easy. I started seeing videos online of people turning empty trailers and vans into tiny homes on wheels. It seemed so out of reach, so hard to do, so unachievable. I didn't have any money, I didn't have any skills, I didn't have any knowledge. I had nothing that I would need to complete this journey, and over the years I was able to accumulate it and finally execute what for years I thought was just not in the cards for me. And after thousands of miles of driving, I'm finally here in Dawson Creek, about to take the road I've been thinking about for years. This is mile 0. This is the official start of the Alaska Highway. And now, the real adventure begins. Circling back to the build of the van and the inspiration for the van, though. One video in particular still sticks with me to this day. I saw it in 2013, and someone builds a trailer with as many windows as possible specifically to take it to Alaska. The whole idea was view maxing for Alaska specifically. I love that concept, not just traveling to Alaska, but building this tiny home specifically around the kind of adventure that you want to have. So I start researching. I look at different layouts, designs, and what would actually be practical for the way I want to travel. Eventually, those ideas start turning into plans for this very van. You can even still see the influence of that particular trailer on this very van. For example, all those windows in the back part of the van, that's because that trailer was full of windows. It's all about view maxing in Alaska. For years, Alaska is this adventure I'm imagining and preparing for somewhere in the future. And now, I'm here, right now, live and in the making. For cooking in the van, I actually have a few different options depending on what I'm making. I have 2 induction burners built into the countertop, which are basically my replacement for a normal stove. I also have a little rice cooker, which has become surprisingly useful because I can just throw everything in, turn it on, and let it cook while I'm doing something else. It also works for heating up food. And my newest addition is an air fryer, which I'm already kind of obsessed with. It gives me a way to roast or crisp things without needing an oven, since that's one thing I don't have in here. Between the induction burners, the rice cooker, and now the air fryer, there really isn't much I would normally cook at home that I can't figure out how to cook in the van. There's a moose, big moose. Oh my gosh, he is so fast. Wow. What a beautiful moose. Oh my gosh. I keep trying to talk to them, but the moose, they don't really seem to like me. They always just run directly away from me, especially once I start to talk to them. Some of the other animals are not like that. Look, here's another one. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. Oh, what a good baby. Are you eating? Are you eating? He kind of twitches his ears. See, like when I don't talk to them, they kind of stay around longer. And then it tends to be when I start trying to talk to them, start trying to call them over, they just run away from me. I don't know. It's maybe they just really don't like the sound of humans, kind of how bears are. If they hear the sound of your voice, they're supposed to be running away from you. Look, there's a baby one. Look at how tiny he is. He's so fast. What a good mommy. Such a good mommy. There's some more other friends in the trees too. The farther on the road I drive, the more everything starts to change. The towns get smaller and farther apart. There are fewer cars on the road, and sometimes it feels like it's just me, the highway, and miles of wilderness. There are animals everywhere. I have seen basically every type of animal and all the baby ones. And then every so often, the landscape opens up into one of these unbelievably beautiful lakes. This is the part of the drive where everything starts to feel really remote and like I'm on my own. There's something a little lonely about being this far from everything, but at the same time, this is the place I wanted to experience. Remember when I was talking about how the bison don't really roam the plains anymore? Well, they do roam the Alaska Highway. In fact, they walk right on it. And look at that precious little baby one. Oh, he's so tiny. What a beautiful little calf. I wonder if we'll see the rest of their herd in a little bit. They're just so cute. I had to get close. Look at them. Oh, they just want to walk on the road. Oh my goodness, look at the little baby. He walks so fast. That must be his top speed. Alright, this was the campsite for today. Have a wonderful view of the river. It's a little bit washed out, but there is a beach down here. But there's the van, the Sprinter himself. But then we have so much to do going up here. I'm like so worried about it because the road is so washed out. Oh God. Like, look at this road up here. I don't even know how I made it down. Like, I need to start kind of slipping, just like walking on the road before I take my Sprinter down. Because look at how steep this is. Oh man. I mean, it was fine. Let's play mermaids. One of the stops I'm most excited about on the entire Alaska Highway is Liard River Hot Springs. At this point, I'm pretty far into northern British Columbia and everything around me feels incredibly remote. So it's kind of surreal that out here, basically in the middle of nowhere, there's this massive natural hot spring that you can actually get in. To reach the springs, I walk along this boardwalk through the forest and wetlands, and the whole place is way more lush than I expect this far north. Eventually, the boardwalk opens up to this beautiful blue-green pool surrounded by forest. And the water is hot. The spring feeds into one end of the pool, so the temperature changes depending on where you are. The closer I get to the source, the hotter it gets. I keep moving around trying to find that perfect spot where the water is hot, but I'm not actively cooking myself. After spending hours and hours sitting in the van every day, though, this feels incredible. And this is exactly why I want to drive to Alaska instead of just flying there. If I were to fly, Alaska is the destination. Driving here turns everything between home and Alaska into part of the trip. I get to watch the landscape slowly change, the towns get smaller, the road gets emptier, I see wildlife everywhere, and then I find places like this that I probably would never have experienced otherwise. There's also something really satisfying about knowing that every mile I travel is physically bringing me closer to Alaska. And right now, stepping in for a soak in a natural hot spring in the middle of northern British Columbia wilderness feels like a pretty good reward for making it this far. I've been to hot springs all over the world: Colorado, Japan, Taiwan, Korea, and this one definitely tops them all. After this, though, it's back to the van. I still have a long way to go. Everything ended up working out with getting my van back up that washed out road. I did a little bit of a one-sided wheelie, and it ended up being okay. That was still one of the scariest moments that I've been through on this trip so far, though. It was so relaxing. Oh my gosh, like beautiful hot spring, natural hot spring. You know, you could stand on the soil, you could stand on the rocks, you could see the source. There was even a waterfall in the back. So relaxing. I really could take a nap right now, and I know that I still need to continue on to reach Alaska. So the next place we're going to hit is the Yukon, and we're going to start driving through the Yukon. And I really like that book White Fang, the parts where it takes place in the Yukon, and it's just always a place that I've wanted to see, so I'm looking forward to that. Here's me with the Yukon sign. I've always wanted to drive through the Yukon ever since I read that book White Fang in 4th grade. Oh, look at the little bear. Oh my gosh. I'm seeing so many bears on the way up here. I am not sure what they're eating. It looks like they're maybe eating those purple flowers. Are those actually berries? Does anybody know what those are? Because the bears are just absolutely fiending for them. I probably saw 6 or 7 bears just on these stretches of roads, just munching on these purple flowers, it looks like. And they're not afraid of cars. They're not afraid of my voice. They're just, over there chilling on the side of the road, eating whatever they want to eat. Some of these bears are almost causing car accidents because people are pulling over like I am right now and recording videos of them. This is exactly what driving the Alaska Highway is all about. It's about seeing wildlife just like this. And look, here is the herd of buffalo. We can still see where the buffalo roam. I wonder if this is a whole different group or if that mother and baby that we saw earlier are part of this herd. There's something strangely peaceful about walking through the signpost forest. There are thousands and thousands of signs here, left behind by people who have made this journey from all over the world. And for some reason, it makes me a little sad too. Every sign was placed here by someone intending to drive the Alaska Highway all the way to Alaska. And yet not everyone reaches their intended destination. And yet it gives me hope at the same time, seeing signs from so many far corners of the world. All right, y'all, good morning. Last night we slept at an abandoned, failed airport. It's, very flat, lots of gravel everywhere. This is the airport. And now we're seeing caribou. Look at the baby one. The baby one is so cute. I don't know if that's the mom and maybe that's the dad or something, but the mom one keeps chasing that other caribou away. Guys, a double rainbow. That has to be good luck. There's no way that is not a good sign for our journey. After being out in the middle of nowhere for this long, we're finally approaching Whitehorse, and it feels like I'm arriving into a major city. It's actually surprisingly modern. There are restaurants, normal grocery stores, and I even find a bubble tea shop that serves matcha, which at this point feels like a luxury. And then you look beyond the city, and there are still mountains in the distance reminding you just how far north you actually are. From here, I'm heading towards Haines Junction and Kluane National Park, where the mountains start getting absolutely massive again. One of the funniest parts of driving this far north is also the gas stations. Some are completely normal and others are basically a white propane tank in the middle of nowhere with a gas pump attached to it. You definitely learn very quickly not to pass up a gas station just because you still have half a tank and it's one of those weird ones that you don't really know how to use. Look at how jacked up this road is. Oh my gosh. They put these little flags up to show you where the road is busted, and it's basically every 5 feet there's a flag. And just so you know, the road is cooked. And after all that driving, I finally made it to Alaska. I took some footage of me posing with the Alaska sign when I arrived last night. However, I accidentally overrode it, which is a huge disappointment. It will be okay. I can get some clips of the sign on the way back. So unfortunately, you don't get to see that moment right now. I'm not all the way to my destination yet, though. I still have about 7 more hours of driving through the mountains before I reach Anchorage. In Anchorage, I'm going to be staying with one of my childhood friends who recently moved up here. But after dreaming about this trip for years and driving thousands of miles to get here, I can finally say it. I made it to Alaska. This is going to sound like a major plot twist considering I literally just arrived in Alaska. The truth is, I actually need to fly out of Anchorage all the way back to Minnesota for a wedding. One of my very good friends asked me to be a bridesmaid, and there's absolutely no way I'm missing it. I've actually always wanted to be a bridesmaid, and this is my first time getting to do it. So, I'm really excited and honored to be part of her wedding. The van is staying here in Alaska. I'm flying home for a few days and then the adventure continues. Wish me luck.